What's up, guys? Welcome to the Face Off Sports Network. Tonight, I'm Sam from Dynasty Drip. Also, Ben coming on every Tuesday night to talk some Dynasty Fantasy Football with you other addicts out here. Welcome in. Today's topic is going to be some Dynasty buy and sells. What I'm going to be using tonight is Dynasty Data Lab. I'm going to be using their ADP, which is pulled from Sleeper startup drafts and such. So I think it's a pretty good product to get a gauge on kind of where guys are going in startup drafts. A lot of other times you may use rankings, trade calculators to find good deals as well. But I think startup drafts really are a great way to tell, because when you are on the clock, that's when you actually know who you're going to pick. If at any point during tonight's show you have any trade questions, startup advice, anything like that, drop a comment and I will get to you. Like I say on all my Tuesday night shows, subscribe to Dynasty Drip as well as Fantasy Face Off here. Dynasty Drip is my own channel, way more in-depth Dynasty advice on that channel every single week. Subscribe to both channels and we will answer your question live on the show. Make sure to like the video as well. But let's get this kicked off today. We're going to go over to Dynasty Data Lab for here. And we're going to start off with buy now players in Dynasty. And the first one that I want to talk about on tonight's show is going to be Jordan Addison as a buy. He's currently going in about the 7th round of Dynasty startups. For me, all the way down here at wide receiver 26. And something that I really like about Jordan Addison, for me personally, is that I just find he's a very good value compared to some of the other Dynasty wide receiver 2s or so that are in that same category. You know, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins. I think Xavier Worthy could count. I know Zay Flowers isn't a wide receiver 2, but because of Henry and the tight ends, he's kind of treated that way. And the reason I bring up all of those names is all of those guys, according to Startup ADP, if you guys can follow along with me here. So we have Jordan Addison down here, wide receiver 26. You know, we have Zay Flowers up here at 22, Devonta Smith at 20, Worthy at 21, T. Higgins up here at wide receiver 18. And I'm not saying I don't like these players. I actually really like T. Higgins, Devonta Smith. They're guys I wouldn't mind having on my team at this price as well. But for me, I think Jordan Addison deserves to be in that category. He's younger than them. He's had 2 very good seasons to start his career, and he just gets such good coverage when it comes to his routes because of Justin Jefferson playing across from him. That I think Jordan Addison's high touchdown variance, I don't really know if it's a variance thing. I just kind of think it's something that he's pretty good at, especially because he's getting single coverage in a lot of these situations. So I think Jordan Addison is a great buy in Dynasty leagues right now. Second one, we're going to move to the quarterback position. All the way down here at quarterback 21, Dak Prescott, going in the 6th round of Dynasty startups. You know, he didn't have his best year last year. I understand he is slightly on the older side now. So, you know, I don't think I'm not saying he deserves to be going in like the 2nd round of Dynasty startups or anything. But for me, like, Dak Prescott probably is going to put up points this year. When he's healthy, he puts up points. He was a monster 2 years ago. And when it comes down to it, he gained an offensive weapon this offseason in George Pickens. So I think these are good things for Dak Prescott this year. You know, we may not love the Schottenheimer hiring if you're going for Dallas as a team, but, you know, it was the offensive coordinator of Dak last year, you know, him and McCarthy. So my guess is not much really change on the offensive side of the ball for Dak Prescott here. And Dak Prescott down here at quarterback 21, I mean, I'm not saying that he should be going ahead of guys like Michael Penix, Jared Goff, but I just think Dak Prescott's a buy at this rate. He still is on that mega contract. He has, you know, a 3 to 4 year window. And down here at QB 21 in the 6th round, I think that's very good value in a super flex dynasty league, personally, the way I like to play. I love getting those quarterbacks. And I think Dak Prescott is one of the ones that is a good value right now, especially in startup drafts or even in the trade market. So we're going to move on to our third guy. We got to scroll down to find this player. So Give me a second as I try to locate him here. All the way down at wide receiver 60. Anyone who comes over from the Dynasty Drip channel knows how much I love my boy Rasheed Shaheed. And nothing has changed this offseason. I mean, when it comes to Rasheed Shaheed, like the dude was pacing to be a top 30 wide receiver last year. Now, I'm not saying I expect that, but he's not old enough to be pushed down because of his age. And he's going at wide receiver 60. So he's kind of in this sweet spot where I think there's a chance that Kellen Moore, he's healthy again coming into this year. I think Rasheed Shaheed could be a top 36 guy. Now, I don't think you have to draft him as a top 36 dynasty wide receiver. And that is not what I mean. What's up, Jamie? Welcome to the show, my man. Appreciate you tuning in. But when it comes to Rasheed Shaheed, I don't think you have to draft him at his ceiling. I think he's actually being drafted closer to his floor. He's being drafted by just a throwaway wide receiver where, to me, I mean, if Rasheed Shaheed starts off hot again, he could really rise up 15 to 18 slots maybe in ADP if you were to do a startup draft midway through the season. I mean, I feel like he was probably going to be going a lot higher if he didn't end the season getting hurt last year. He was really smoking it, and he is a huge play threat. And when it comes down to it, I just don't know if there's enough weapons to keep him off the field in New Orleans. There's basically three main guys there. So I think Rasheed Shaheed's a very good value as a buy right now in Dynasty, going all the way in the 13th round, wide receiver 60. So, you know, maybe it's a cheat code, but it's pretty hard to say you can't buy someone in the 13th round of a startup, because once you get to that point, these are round 3 rookie picks, you know. Next one, we're going to do a quarterback, actually going in the 13th round as well. Someone I've spoke about on the Dynasty Drip channel, but I think Tyler Shuck is a very good value right now. Not to do another Saints player, but Shaheed, Shuck, the thing is like without Derek Carr in his away, he really only has to beat out Spencer Rattler. And sure, Spencer Rattler is okay. He's a fine player. But he didn't really show much to me that doesn't make me want to bet on Shuck instead. And he's going in the 12th round of Dynasty startups. Let me go back to double check, make sure I have this correct. According to Dynasty Dana Lab, QB 32. Like Shedeur Sanders, according to this ADP, is going over Tyler Shuck. Now, you know, I'm not saying in your rookie draft it's going to be that way, and I understand not every league's the same. I saw Tyler Shuck go before Shedeur in most of my rookie drafts. But just as a encapsulating value of Tyler Shuck, he's going at a very affordable price here at QB 32. And when it comes down to it, like QB 32, if he is named the starter and he has a game or two where he looks decent, that could be QB 22 by the end of September. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the investment that you have to put in to get Tyler Shuck onto your roster is well worth it from a dynasty standpoint. Now, maybe a tough time to buy him, and maybe this is more of startup advice because, you know, if someone drafted him in the second round, you're probably going to have to pay more than they paid just because they're not going to, you know, they're not going to just sell the guy that they just selected. But I think he's worth taking a look at as a buy right now in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Next one's going to be another quarterback. We're going to go closer to the top of the board here. Another quarterback as well. QB 12 going in the 3rd round, but Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is being pushed down the board because he had a weird season last year. You know, Christian Watson got hurt. His wide receivers were pretty up and down. They really relied on Josh Jacobs. But let's not forget that 2 seasons ago, Jordan Love was on an absolute heater. And I think his value has fallen in the last couple years, like since that point. And I don't really see any reason that he shouldn't be a couple spots higher. Going in 3rd round says 311. I mean, if you get him at 311 as a value, I think that's great. I think he really is one of those targets where, you know, I like Bo Nix. I like CJ Stroud. I like Caleb Williams. But I'm pretty sure I would take Jordan Love over those guys. Now, maybe I'm more risk averse. And, you know, I understand Caleb has the ceiling. Maybe that one on the fly, I would have to really sit down with it. But I would take Jordan Love over Stroud and Bo Nix. He's in a better offense. He's a great offensive coach, and they do have a lot of weapons there in Green Bay. So when it comes down to it, I think Jordan Love is a great buy in Dynasty as well. If you guys are just popping into the stream, If you have any questions or want more Dynasty Fantasy Football advice, in addition to subscribing to Fantasy Face-Off, make sure you go over to Dynasty Drip on YouTube as well. It's my personal channel. We have much more Dynasty advice on that channel. If you have a trade question or a startup question you want to drop in the chat, please put that in the comments here. I will get to all of those. Make sure to hit subscribe and I'll get to you right away. Like this live stream as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. So we're going to do one more buy, and then we're going to get to the sell portion of the show tonight. The last buy, he's going to be pretty cheap. And to me, I think similar to the way I was speaking about Rasheed Shaheed. Now, I like Rasheed Shaheed more than this player. Pardon me, I'm having trouble finding him here. This is how low he's going in some of these drafts here. I'm going to have to find him just to locate him because there we go. Okay, wide receiver 64, going in the 14th round of startup draft, Cedric Tilman. Now, he's risky, and I don't think there's anything guaranteed with Cedric Tilman. But when it comes down to it, he's going in the 14th round, 15th, 16th. Like, these numbers are even falling, right? So 14 was here, but as you can tell on the screen here, recently he's actually going in the 16th round, even 16, 12 here in the May average, according to Dynasty ADP. And for me, I get it. He had that flash in the pan, and it wasn't too, it didn't last long, right? And then Jerry Jeudy really came on the scene. But to me, it's with the Browns. I don't know if they have enough receiving weapons to really keep him off the field. I like Jerry Jeudy. I like Njoku. I like the running backs. We'll see what happens with QB. But I just think there's a lot of upward mobility with Cedric Tilman all the way down here at wide receiver 64, going, 14th, 15th, 16th round. Like, he's got the body type, and he could catch fire and have some high TD kind of games, high TD season. And I think he really would rise up maybe 4 or 5 rounds in startup ADP. And to me, that's kind of when I'm buying someone that's going this late, a la the 16th round of a startup draft, I'm looking for someone who's young enough that if he has a couple games, could rise in value pretty quickly. And I think Cedric Tilman kind of matches that idea because we saw it last year. Then he got hurt. He got the concussion. He was basically out for the rest of the year. But if he starts off hot or has a couple good game stretch, I think his value will rise. And that kind of is a pattern with a lot of dynasty players, right? If they've once had the value, they have a chance to get there if we kind of are reminded why we really like the player in the first place. But that's going to be our 6 dynasty buys for the show here. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to cover some dynasty sells. So if you have any dynasty sell questions, make sure to drop them in the chat here. And we're going to transition into our dynasty sells. The first player I want to talk about tonight as a dynasty sell for me personally, just according to his value, it's going to be a running back, and it's going to be James Cook. I like James Cook, and it's nothing against the player. I think a lot of people have a tough time with sells because if they're on your team, it's someone talking bad about your player, or they take it very personal. And this isn't personal. I think James Cook is a very good player, and I think he's a very good fantasy football player. But the regression is going to be real when it comes to James Cook this season. And there is just no way he gets as many rushing touchdowns as he had last year. James Cook scored basically on every 13 or so carries last season. I think his career average is every 23 carries. So even if you cut that in between those two rates, like, it's not going to look as pretty for James Cook. Now, he's probably going to have a fine year. And I think if you're a mega contender, I don't mind holding on to James Cook because I'm not really in the habit of selling my starting running backs for value if I'm trying to win games this year. But if you're stuck in the middle, if you're rebuilding, if you need to make some moves to increase the value of your team, I think James Cook is one of those guys that you need to move now. He's going in the 5th round of startups here at 5.7. That's personally earlier than I would take him here at RB13. But even if we're going just within the same round, I mean, I think there's some players around here. Could I get Jordan Addison in a pick? I would do that. Jordan Addison in a couple seconds. Maybe we give up Jordan Addison and a second to get James Cook in a first or something? Can I move down, tier down into a wide receiver, a Zay Flowers, a Devonta Smith, Trevor Lawrence, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix? These are guys just going in the same round. Roma Dunze. These are just guys going in the same round. I'm not saying I would do all these trades, but the value's there for James Cook where I think you could get out and get a piece, especially to a team that is looking for a running back. And for me, it's time to get out on James Cook. He had his year last year. His value grew. Now's the time to sell because he's not going to match, what was it? I think 18 rushing touchdowns last year. Like, it's just not going to happen. Sorry, 16 rushing touchdowns. He had 2 in each of the previous seasons. So, like, 3 would have been his, like, basically career high, and he had 16 last year. So, like, that is just not sustainable. We know Josh Allen is coming for those, and I think Ray Davis is going to touch the field as well. So next one I'm going to talk about, and this was someone I did talk about on a video on Dynasty Drip a couple months ago, but I'm just a little uncomfortable with where Garrett Wilson is going and where Garrett Wilson's value is. He's a very good player, but I just think the fact that he's had such high target volume seasons and it really hasn't fully been put together yet for Garrett Wilson. And then you add Justin Fields, who, yeah, he could work out. I'm rooting for Justin Fields. I really like him as a player. I think he showed a lot as a person, how he handled himself in Pittsburgh last year. But everyone's trying to make this connection that DJ Moore had that year with Justin Fields. But a lot of people forget DJ Moore also had like a 50-point game. And if you take that out, that season looks a lot different. So for me, if you could pivot from Garrett Wilson to, let's see, I mean, he's going here at 311. That's wide receiver 13. Could we try to pivot into Travis Hunter? Could we pivot into AJ Brown? Could we pivot into JSN? Could we tier down into Ted McMillan or Rashee Rice or T. Higgins? Like, these are trades I would do if you can get the value, because I'm just not comfortable at where he's going. Now, there's a lot of Garrett Wilson lovers, and I understand it. I think he does have some talent. It's just a little too risky for me at the moment. Appreciate Jamie coming in here with the comments. You're the boy, Jamie. I'm selling Kyron now before his value plummets. No contract after this season is a red flag. It's tough. I mean, I've seen some reports that they are considering re-signing Kyron, and I don't know. It's tough with this McVay backs. I will say his value has fallen, I think, from where he was at last year, especially with the influx of rookies. He is down here at RB 11. I'd probably feel, I would take Kyron over James Cook if we're making the comparison. I don't think anyone is doing that trade, but if you can get from Kyron to Travion, do that trade in a heartbeat. And if you can sell and get a Brock Purdy, get a Ted McMillan, I think those are good gets as well. I understand if you're a mega contender, like I said, I'm not selling my elite running backs if I need the production out of a contender. But for me, Kyron, he's a tough one. I didn't put him on this list, but I understand where you're coming from. Next one, going to be quarterback. And this one kind of dovetails here with what I was saying about Jordan Love. But if he's going at this value, QB7, I'm selling Caleb Williams. Now, if he's going later than that and you can't get the return of a QB7, which is basically, an early second in a startup draft, I get that. But for me, I'm looking just at the quarterback position with Caleb Williams. I would rather have Justin Herbert. I would rather have Drake May. I probably would rather have Jordan Love. Or if I wouldn't rather have Jordan Love, if I can tier down from Caleb Williams to Jordan Love, that is a trade I would do. I mean, I get it. I understand the hype with Caleb Williams, but we haven't seen it yet. And you don't want to value a guy at his ceiling when you've never seen it, especially when we did see him play last year. It's a little easier to do with a rookie like Ashton Genty, where there's a really good hit rate for first-round running backs. And we didn't see him in the NFL last year do anything incorrectly. We did see that with Caleb Williams. Now, I'm not saying I have Caleb Williams down at QB 25. Like, I probably would have him still as a top 12 guy. I'm just saying, I think if you could tier into some of those guys I named, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Jordan Love, from Caleb Williams, that's a trade I would be willing to make. Now, another one that goes along with something we spoke about earlier, just like I'm in on Rasheed Shaheed, I think I'm a little lower than the market is on Chris Olave. Chris Olave, wide receiver 24, according to Dynasty Startup ADP. I mean, 7th round isn't bad. I think it's more the wide receiver 24 for me. I think there's some guys in this range that I think at this point in their careers, I would just rather bet on. Zay Flowers, Devonta Smith, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Addison. Can I tear down into Emeka Egbuka? Like, I think these guys, Chris Olave, yes, he could return, but he's had some head injury issues and he's been good. He's kind of like mini Garrett Wilson, where it's like he's had a chance, and at some point you have to stop giving these guys a chance to pop every single season. And for me, that's kind of where it's at with Chris Olave, where this may, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, which is why I'm saying I want to pivot into another one of these guys in this same range. You know, Zay Flowers, I think, is a great target. Jordan Addison. Can I get Jordan Addison plus for Chris Olave? Can I get Emeka Egbuka plus for Chris Olave? There's plenty of Chris Olave believers out there, because you all know we've sent offers for Chris Olave in the past and they've gotten rejected. So keep in mind that people do want him. But for me, if this season doesn't go well for Chris Olave, similar to Garrett Wilson, I think that's kind of when you're going to see the value fall. So it may just be the correct time to get out on Chris Olave. I don't hate him, and I would take him still as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 27, 28 or something. I'm just not going to take the risk there, and I would rather go into a different position, or I'd rather take some of the other wide receivers in that exact range. If you guys are joining the show, hit me up with any trade questions you have. Right now, we're doing Dynasty Sells. When the show is over, make sure to scroll back to the beginning if you missed that part where we did our Dynasty buys for the episode. Next one's going to be a running back. Now, he's not going super early. I just think everything that I've heard or that has happened for Travis Etienne in the last little bit is just not a good sign. And I really just don't want to take the risk on it, that if you can find someone who still believes in Travis Etienne, get out for maybe, I don't know, an early second or something. He's a hard guy to value, and I get that. I would probably try to make more of a player trade. On Dynasty ADP here, they have him at RB30. Like DeAndre Swift, I think, is the perfect example. Could I turn Travis Etienne into DeAndre Swift? Swift is someone I think is going to score some points this year. I think he's going to be valuable. I think he's valuable to a contender, and I even think Swift is an okay target for a rebuilder, because I think if he has some good games, you could sell him for more than you may buy him this offseason. But Travis Etienne, I mean, I think Tank Bigsby has a chance to take his job. I think Tootin has a chance to take his job. I like LaQuinn Allen. I think he has a chance to take his job, but take snaps away. They didn't sign his 5th-year option. They drafted Travis Hunter. They have Brian Thomas Jr. Like, he's not in the future plans of this team. A former first-round pick running back with a new head coach, and then he's going to be on his 2nd contract, and he's been an okay player, but he hasn't been a great player. So for me, Travis Etienne, this may be the last chance you have to get anything substantial for him. I'm going to go over to the trade tab on Travis Etienne. If you guys haven't been on Dynasty Data Lab, I love the trades tab here. Just to see Travis Etienne in a 4 and a 3rd for Tyrone Tracy. I actually don't hate that. I think Tyrone Tracy is being devalued. I like Scadaboo too, but I think they're going to split Travis Etienne for Khalil Shakir. I like that too. I think that's kind of what I meant when I was saying like a trade target, where it might not be picks, it may be a player in the range where if you can swap him for that guy, I think I would definitely do that trade. And now we have one more guy for our Dynasty Sells tonight. It's going to be another wide receiver. He's on the team with someone who I think may be the worst throwing quarterback in the league. I don't want to talk bad about him, but Josh Downs at wide receiver 44. I just think it's a little high for me for someone that's probably going to be the 4th offensive weapon on his own team. I mean, Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman. Like, I don't really know how things are going to go for Josh Downs this year. And if it's Anthony Richardson, I don't love his chances. And, I like Daniel Jones. I'll be rooting for him. I think Pittman could maybe be okay with Daniel Jones, but he's not going to support multiple pass catchers. So I don't really see Josh Downs going up from his current ranking. He's going in the 9th round of startup drafts right now at 9'6", wide receiver 44. Jaden Reed's going right next to him. I would take Jaden Reed 10 out of 10 times before I took Josh Downs. Chris Godwin's going wide receiver 45. I would take Chris Godwin 10 out of 10 times before I took Josh Downs. I would take Khalil Shakir. I would take Keon Coleman. I'd take a shot on Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton. Like, every single wide receiver in this range is someone that I would take before I took Josh Downs. I think Josh Downs is a good route runner. I just don't really know if he's ever going to be a full-on difference maker for your dynasty team if he is paired there in Indianapolis. And by the time he gets out, his value may have just fallen too much, that unless you are fully committing to holding this dude for 3 to 4 more years on your bench without really getting too much value out of him, I just don't really know if it's worth it personally for Josh Downs. Sorry, my computer's going to die. I need to plug it in real quick, guys. Thank you for hanging with me. But yeah, so those are my dynasty sells. We had James Cook, Garrett Wilson, Caleb Williams, Travis Etienne, Chris Olave, and Josh Downs. If you missed the first half of the show or you want to watch the buy part of this episode, that was Jordan Addison, Dak Prescott, Rasheed Shaheed, Cedric Tilman, Tyler Shuck, and Jordan Love. But thank you guys for tuning in. We had 17 people right now watching. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed what you heard tonight, make sure to go to Dynasty Drip in the description of this video. I do buy and sell videos, overrated, underrated, mock drafts all the time on my own channel. If you are a Dynasty addict like me. In addition to that, make sure to like the stream, subscribe to the Face Off Sports Network. I'm going live every Tuesday night at 7 Central with Dynasty stuff. I'm a Dynasty expert. I'm here to help you win your league. Make sure to show some love, drop a comment. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Jamie's my biggest fan. Jamie, I'm your biggest fan, man. I appreciate the comments. I am loving interacting with you guys on this channel. It's what I've had so much fun doing and why I'm going to keep doing it every Tuesday night. Thank you for tuning in, Jamie. And you guys have a good night. If you're catching this live, thank you for joining. If you're catching it after, feel free to drop any comments in the live feed or on any of the videos I'm posting. I will check those periodically and try to get back to you guys. But peace, guys, and have a good night.